To the public forum for the 18th of May 2021. On behalf of Moonee Valley City Council, I respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which Moonee Valley is located, the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay respects to their spirits, ancestors, community members and elders past, present and emerging. We also extend this respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Although it's not possible for members of the public to join us in person tonight, tonight's virtual public forum will be live streamed on our website, and I extend a warm welcome to those who are watching online. The public forum provides residents with an opportunity to present to Council on topics of interest and allows for further discussion, which is not possible at a formal council meeting. Now, on tonight's agenda, we have one presentation from a member of the public. So I'd like to invite Nina Franceschi to provide a presentation on protecting the reserve along Mascoma Street, Strathmore. Nina, are you with us?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Hello, Matt. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Before I start the presentation, I just want to introduce myself as the developer of the Open Space Defenders group in Strathmore, and also a member of the Friends of Moonee Ponds Creek. So I'm just going to share my screen. Can you let me know when you can see it?
Yep, I've got it up.
Great. Okay. So I'm going to talk about protecting the Moonee Ponds Creek Reserve along Mascoma Street, Strathmore. There's a lot of slides in here, and I'm literally just dashing through each one because it's more of a picture show. So I'd really appreciate if everyone can just focus on the images, because it's really important to see the destruction along this section. So along Mascoma Street, we have lots of signs saying parking on nature strips is illegal and penalties apply. But despite this, they're just ignored. They are totally ignored. So we have lots of cars parking on the reserve, which is very destructive to the creek. And as a consequence, here's an example of the destruction on a rainy day. Just mud, bog holes, the works. Council contractors have dumped sand there to put on these reserves, and the reason why they put it there is because they can. So that's at Strathnaver Reserve. We've also had council contractors dump concrete there and concrete sludge, which you can see here, poured into the plant on the embankment and down eventually into the creek. There's cars that pull over with trailers, they dump couches, and then people add to the dumping. So the next day we find a baby chair on one of those couches. We've got TVs, boxes, chairs, and going back to this, the destruction, not destruction, the rubbish that's dumped. These photos are from the last year, so everything I'm showing you is probably, a majority of them are only in the last few months, and some of them around pre-COVID and within COVID. Actually, the reserve was quite good during COVID because no one was there other than walkers, so it had a bit of time to catch up. So here, moving down Nursery Corner, more cars, and they compact the soil, which potentially can lead to death for these trees. Down further on, Strathmore North Primary School, cars park there morning and afternoon at pickup time. And here's some photos of the destruction just at that site. It's, shocking. I think the pictures say it all. So we have private businesses dumping mulch, which I have a real concern about this because there's noxious waste in there, which can potentially grow into noxious trees and cause more work for the council. So they're private contractors. To save paying tip fees, they dump the rubbish because they can get on the reserve with their trucks. Here further down, Lebanon Reserve, they've got fencing, but it's not on all sides. So cars park on the reserve. Now, the local club, the football club at the moment, have been reminding their members on social media and at the club However, people are still parking on there. It is better, but they're still parking on there. So the club are doing their best to stop people, but, you know, we really need some sort of barrier. And that's the destruction on a rainy day on that exact site. It's not very nice, as you can see. So sites that need protection, if you look at this picture, the yellow line down here is Mascoma Street. The purple section up here is Boeing Reserve, and that already has a lovely fence there to stop, a lovely barrier to stop cars. As you can see on the left, there's no damage to the reserve because it's protected. Going back to the picture, if you look to the right, there's a big blue arrow, that's Lebanon Reserve. And it's got, like I said before, it's got a fence, but it is starting to fall down, whether it's rotting or whether cars have knocked them over, I don't know, but they are old. And I just feel that this section needs reviewing, it needs repair, as well as a couple of sections filled in with more, another barrier to stop cars entirely going into this particular triangle. And the middle section, the red section, that is the area that we need to have a look at and have bollards or some sort of protection in place. As you can see, Mascoma Street's about 3 kilometres, and it's only a tiny section here that requires attention. And this is one of those sections near the primary school where it really needs to be sectioned off. Types of barriers, we're not fussy, we don't care. We just want affordable barriers to council. So this is possibly your most expensive option, and we don't need this. We don't have to have the steel and the nice timber. But if you want to grant that to us, that's fine. But we can go without steel barriers, or we can go. This is at Strathnaver grasslands. They've got steel poles. There's poles with chains. My preferred option is this one. I love these. They just blend in with the environment. And having barriers and then planting out behind those barriers can be a great way to achieve Moonee Valley's 30% tree canopy target. This is at 5 Mile Creek. It's just beautiful. I'm almost finished. So there's rocks that could be put in place. Logs are a good way. As you can see here, it's stopping the car from entering. This is actually down at Rosebud. It's not here at Strathmore, but it's clear that cars don't go in. They don't push over the logs. We believe protection should be continued along the unprotected reserves from Strathnaver Reserve Access Road to Strathmore North Primary School. It doesn't have to be an expensive exercise. We recommend low-cost bollards to prevent cars being illegally parked on the reserves, despite warning signs and trucks gaining access to dump rubbish and deliveries. Protection measures work. Cars are not parked anywhere in Moonee Valley where bollards are in place. We're grateful that all Buckley Ward councillors met with us to discuss our concerns. We are hopeful that this can be followed by action. Narelle was there too, but she had other plans and just left before this photo. So on the right here, on the left is me, and on the right is Teresa Day. And we've got Jewel here at the bottom. My dog, I have a greyhound too, so they got on relatively well after a while. And we therefore would like to request that council make barriers along Mascoma Street a budget planning priority. Will council consider this request for the upcoming budget? And I just want to, just 15 seconds more. These are 3 photos of, they're not endangered, however, they are rare in our area, so we don't get many blue-tongued lizards anymore, and in the middle we've got the Nankeen night heron and the marbled gecko native to Victoria. Just to see this amazing wildlife on our reserve along the Moonee Ponds Creek is amazing. So that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
I hope I made it within my 5 minutes.
Oh, I didn't have the stopwatch out, but you got through it. Very well. Thanks, Nina. And Nina, just have you put in a budget submission as well? Yes.
No, I had no idea how to do this, so I was told just to put it. Yes. Sorry, I have done a submission. Oh, sorry, yeah. I was confused. Yeah. I thought you meant a costing.
No. Just putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I did.
It's formally tabled.
It's pretty much a condensed version of this with a few paragraphs, just a bit more detail, less photos and more written content. I just really wanted to show everybody the destruction. And like I said, it's only like those photos are very recent. It's not like we've collected them for 10 years. They're recent, and we're forever pulling out our snaps and solve to report all the destruction. And yeah, and look, I just want to also point out that with COVID, you know, like a lot of money goes to sports clubs, and I love sport. My children did sports, and I just love sport, you know, sport for the community. However, walking doesn't seem to be seen as a sport, and I just feel that, you know, we just don't put enough money to exercising and beautifying the area so that people can have a lovely walk and love nature. And during COVID, the only activity people did, the only two activities were pretty much walking and bike riding along the creek. So we really, really need to protect it. And this is a small cost item to add to the budget. It's, yeah. And it's a very small section. It's only about, I think, 400 metres probably. It will be less than half a kilometre. It's a real, and there's no, there's one entry point that it would cross, but even then, yeah, there's only the entry into Nursery Corner and Strathnaver Reserve. So it'd be two sections of, yeah, it would be quite easy to do. Yeah.
Thanks, Nina. I think Councillor Adams, you've got a question.
I do. Thanks, Nina. Thanks for that presentation. And
Hi.
you did answer that first. I did have a question about how long that stretch is, so about 400 metres. So thanks, you just answered that. But my other question was, how often is there a problem with the car parking and the rubbish dumping on the reserve?
Okay, so the car parking with school it's every school day. So every day. And yeah, we've had council there and they come out and they fine people, and then after a while people just go back to their habits. I've even knocked on people's windows and said, you can't park there. And they get off the reserve, get in a huff and a puff, they go around the block and then they park there again. So it's just never ending. The problem is also in Brosnan Crescent, where the concrete is going to be removed, part of the Brosnan Crescent project. But I'm not going to worry about that section because it's going to be totally lifted anyway, so they can park there as much as they like. But on Muskoma Street, it's all the time, every school day and during events. And at Lebanon Reserve and Strathnaver Reserve, it's games days. Training's not too bad. During training, they don't have it because not every, you know, they're not drawing a crowd, but it's on games days. Now, Boeing Reserve is all sectioned off and fenced off, and they don't have a problem because it's all sectioned off, so cars can't get into the reserves. So we just need to follow that all the way down Muskoma Street.
Thanks, Nina.
Any other councillors with any questions? Councillor Byrne?
Hi, Nina. Thanks for your presentation.
Hi, Sam.
Hi. I've just got up some master plans. Do you know whether on any endorsed master plans there is any of the fencing or the bollards or anything like that?
Not that I know of. However, I haven't looked too hard. I know Strathnaver Reserve, it's been marked out to have planted, well, when I say planted out, it's protected as reserve. And beside the school, yeah, there's no structures or anything that are going to go within those spaces. But I don't know if any barriers were in the master plan. I don't know. I can look into it, or if the officers can look into it.
Perhaps if the officers can look into it, and if it is in there, then that's great. That's sort of, we're heading down that track anyway. And if it's not in there, if there was a reasoning why we didn't put it in initially, because it seems like if they've done bits of it but not all of it, if there was a reason for that. So it'd just be good to know some of the...
I did. It's a little bit wish-washy between Nursery Corner and Strathnaver, because the Strathnaver Reserve comes under the Strathnaver plan, and Nursery Corner, they're just doing that. They're about to release the draft soon. So as part of the draft, we're invited, Friends of Moonee Ponds Creek and My Open Spaces group and Bugs, which is the bicycle users group, and the men's shed, and everybody were invited for input before it goes out to public consultation. So we did suggest that we have some form of barriers, you know, with it going into the driveway and along the creek. So that one, it's not released yet, but we're hoping that they will put barriers there in that master plan. But I want it to be more urgent than if it's not on master plans. I just want it to be as a matter of urgency, because it just is getting worse. Yeah, it's just a dumping ground now. With the tip fees going higher, it's becoming a dumping ground. People come from other suburbs. I don't think it's people from our suburb. It's they come from other suburbs and they just see it as, yeah, let's dump it. No one's looking, or not many people can see us, so they dump. Yeah.
Unfortunate. Speaking of other suburbs, if you do miss your blue tongue lizards, we've got plenty up in East Keeler if you want to come and.
Oh, nice. I have been told if you see empty snail shells along the creek, that's where, like sitting on rocks, that's where they are, because they like snails.
Didn't know that. Thanks, Nina.
Councillor Hodgson, you had a question?
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Nina. I just wanted to know whether do you know whether there's a pink drop-off zone along the school there for
a kiss drop or whatever they're called. Drop.
Is there one?
Yeah, they've had one for years, and the school does monitor it, but it's only, I don't know, maybe 6 cars. But the school's gone from, when my first child went there, it was like 175 children, and I think they're around the 500 now. And the school's been expanded, and I think they set up to about. The principal told me on the quiet. Well, when I say on the quiet, she said, "Oh, it could reach up to 700 or 800 eventually." So it's just going to be a disaster. That's a whole nother issue which we've put in submissions about the car park at the primary school. But anyway, that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillors, any other questions? If not, Nina, thank you for joining us. And obviously, you've already put in your budget submission. So if you wish to join us on the 10th of June for our budget submissions meeting, I think it's 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 10th of June. So you can register for that as well.
Yeah, I have.
That concludes our public forum. Thank you to our presenter, Nina. Thank you to everyone who joined us via the stream.